friends, welcome back to Midlife Chapters. Today's topic is about loneliness in midlife. And I think that very few people talk about this in midlife just as being a phenomena that is specifically for midlife, because of course loneliness can hit us anytime in our lives. But I think it is so relevant to talk about that, and not just because of COVID, because I think that a lot of us mistake being lonely as being an effect of the social isolation that globally we all went through, right? But I think this is specifically true for us in midlife because things shift, and they shift at a very fast pace, but in a way that is extremely subtle. It is fast but subtle. And what I mean by that is that if you have kids or you have parents who are aging, then you're going to notice this, because suddenly what happens is that the people that you looked up to, in case of parents, are the people who need your help. Or if you have kids and then these kids, they grow up and they leave home. And sometimes it is not because of any external things that are happening, but sometimes we do get to a state where we just feel intensely alone in our lives. And I thought that maybe that is something that we can explore together in this time that we have together in this virtual room. And by the way, I'm so happy that you're here and that you're listening to this, and I hope that you are going to get some insight and something inspiring that you can take in your life as you move through. So one of the things that I thought that we should talk about is why we feel lonely, especially in midlife, where we had a full life before. And that is because we have these roles that we play, and slowly but surely these roles fall away. So a good example or a good way to understand this is to look at nature. So think about the seasons that we go through as being the seasons of our lives. So for example, spring, which is green and vibrant and full of life, that's when we are really, really young, right? That is when everything is blossoming, everything is coming into its own. And sometimes it gets a little too much. Sometimes the colors are just so intense, and sometimes everything that's happening around bursts at one go. That's the newness of life. That is really the birthing of something extremely beautiful. And consider that to be our adolescent years, our teenage years, when we are in our early 20s. We're going through life unbothered, absolutely loving it, but also fragile, right? And now when we get to summer, that is the time of our lives when we have settled down. Perhaps we have married. Perhaps that's the time to have children. That's also abundant. That's also rich and full and beautiful. And it has so many surprises. And the days are nice and warm and long. And that's also a very beautiful time of our lives. When we hit midlife, and this, I would really like to dwell on this a little bit, because as you know that I'm a gardener and I love being with plants, and I just adore it, and in a way this is what defines me. Is I think that this is the autumn of our lives. Now, not to mean that this is something that we need to dread or we have to be scared about, or this is something that we have to be afraid of. That's not what I'm saying. But the autumn of our life is extremely beautiful. This is when things start to show its truth. And what I mean by that is, when if you look at nature in autumn, you will see when the leaves fall, what is left behind are the branches. Now the branches are the skeleton of a tree. this is what's going to show you what the shape of the tree is. In spring and summer, it is completely smothered and covered with flowers and with leaves, and you don't get to see what's beneath. And now in autumn, when the leaves start to change colors and everything becomes a little bit brittle and it falls, that's when you see the skeleton. And that is because our roles and responsibilities and everything that we have held on so far, that we thought was our identity, begins to shed. And then what we have is the bare skeleton of the tree, which, if you observe extremely carefully, is very beautiful and authentic. And that is where the loneliness comes up, because I think we are not used to being presented that way or seeing ourselves that way, and we get into this panic mode. We think, oh my God, is this me? Is this what's happening? And sometimes there is no way for us to articulate it also. And if we cannot articulate something, then we are scared, right? So now that we know that the loneliness is a natural progression, it's a natural process. It is something that needs to happen, and it is happening because we are shedding some things that don't belong to us anymore, that we no longer need to carry, and we are scared of this, and that's fine as well. It's just this acceptance that this is a normal part of our existence. This is a normal part of our growing up. This is a normal part of the journey that we are on. It's a natural progression from one step to the next, just like nature does. And sometimes when, and I can tell you that for certain, because everybody is prone to getting to this stage. Everybody is prone to being lonely. Everybody is prone to be forced to be in this state that we actually don't even want to be in. And I totally get that. I totally understand why you wouldn't want to be in the loneliness stage, because it's uncomfortable. However, if you see this as being a gift that is being given to you, so that you can finally discover the beautiful, authentic you that you're meant to be, without the roles, without all the duties that you have to carry, without all of these things. And in spite of all the pain and in spite of all the difficulties that come with it, my invitation to you is allow that and sit with it. Sit with it, because it has gifts. It has gifts. You might finally realize that the earth that we're living on is just, or that we are on, and the life that we have is just so very beautiful, right? So the main message that I have for you today in this video is the allowing part. Yes, we will get lonely, and yes, this is going to be difficult, and yes, this is not easy, and yes, it is uncomfortable. But I wish that you have the courage and the wisdom to say, I can sit through this and I'm still going to be okay. As an inspiration, because I always look for inspiration in nature, you know, as I'm a gardener, and this is my passion. This is what I adore doing. This is what I would do for the rest of my life. As long as I live, I'm going to always be gardening. I always look at nature for inspiration, also in moments when I feel lonely. And I'd like to share a poem with you, because I just think poetry is just such a beautiful way for us to understand and to comprehend what is happening to us. And so I would like to leave you with an inspirational poem by Mary Oliver, and it's called Wild Geese. So here it goes. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. If you're wondering how the bouquet turned out, just wanted to show you, this is it. And as always, do like, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.